Hello everybody and welcome to this tutorial, Advanced Surface Detailing for Strainer with Shapers 3D. In this narrated overview, I will show you the process I used to model and style the strainer, with details like all those openings and adding a rim around the edge to stabilize the product. The file is shared, so please download it so you can better follow this lecture. As always, this session is filled with many interesting sketching and modeling tips and shortcuts. And now let's get started. Before we continue, and because this video primarily focuses on the process I used to model and style the strainer, I would like to take a moment first to talk about how this design is set up. So let's hide this one and turn on these two sketches. Everything you see in these sketches is very simplistic and everything you only need to model the strainer. Because there's no point in putting fillets and similar elements into the sketch. I mean, you can, it just slows down the sketch. It makes the sketch more complicated because fillets and such I can easily do as a modeling tool. So in general, I keep my sketches always as brutal as possible. So you can see there is everything for kind of like the strainer, the handle, there is a horizontal handle, there's also the base. The base is very loosely sketched. You see the endpoints are just even loose. They're not even touch actually this arc. There's an interesting element here that is going to be a cleanup geometry, which I will explain. And then here, this is a little sketch to later detail and create a rim that goes around the strainer. Okay. Then inside the pattern folder from the top, I created a sketch, projected in a lot of ring elements, which are based on the proportion and detail of the strainer base. And there are more sketches in it, and these are all being used to create all those kind of like slots or geometry, which we will use to cut all the openings into the strainer. You see they're also all pre-rounded. So once I do a cut into the strainer body, I don't have to do any fillets. Very good. Then I have one folder. I call this raw blocks. This has all the individual building elements, the base, this front handle, the rotated handle, horizontal handle, and for example, the base part too, or it stands on. Very good. And the main reason why I keep all these elements also as separate parts is imagine something goes wrong and then you have to go back to the sketch and start from scratch. That's very time consuming and irritating. Plus, when you would like to create variations, it's really nice to have these building blocks because it's kind of like copy and paste then. You don't have to redo everything. You can continue at certain modeling steps you were inside your design. Very good. Now there's also a final handle horizontal. I put this one in just so you can study it. It's pretty much the same design, just the handle is horizontal. And for here, I used the sweep command to sweep the sketch along this profile so you get everywhere this nice round swept element. But how do you do this when we have actually the handle that is rotated? Because with the sweep command, we have one path for it to run across. And think about a roller coaster. A roller coaster has actually two tracks because you have kind of like multiple directions where the wagon drive along. So it's the same actually also for sweep. So sweep is not necessarily creating the result we want, And I will show you in this video how we can still model this just with a different technique. So let's go into a 3D view. Let's turn on the raw blocks folder. I will select the top handle that's rotated, and I will select the base, select union, keep originals, very good. And now I have to select the piece we just made. With a little bit of luck, there it is. Just double tapping the object. Then we will move this one out of that folder. Very good. Okay, so beautiful. Now, looking at the handle, there's actually one really nice tip I would like to talk about first. So when we extrude this one out, you notice that everything here is very linear. But actually, the handle has everything tapered. How did I do this? Particularly, there are no more sketches. It's actually very easy. I didn't use any trimming. I simply rotated the faces. You see, select a face, select an edge, and rotate. That's all. It's super easy in Shaper. There. Okay, let's remove this. Because the handle and the main strainer base are joined, we can go ahead and start rounding all our edges. We have to follow a particular sequence. So first this one edge I did, because then I can nicely round those edges. And because now this is all rounded, I get these nice edges there too. And then I can round all this. You see? It's kind of like a tangent loop. Beautiful. Not really. There's a little issue. When we zoom in, look at that. This is not good. We can see these lines actually are at different positions. They don't really meet. That makes also sense because the strainer is round, as you can see, and the handle actually had a rectangular edge. So edge can't really fit on edge. Like a line doesn't fit onto a curve. So we also would like to shell this. But now this is not a clean, uniform face or surface. What do? Well, the solution is super easy. We just cut it clean. But first, we extend it. That's also where we have this trim object here. Then this object, then this object, subtract, keep the originals. That's correct. Remove. And there we are. Very good. Now when I select these three faces, go to shell, I can shell it easily. Nice and clean. And I'm going to call this one here currently bowl plus handle. So it makes sense. You remember I have a folder with all those pattern elements in. Now you noticed? Opening it takes a moment. And that's because we have so many elements in there. What's really important when you model is try not to get distracted by tasks which aren't really important yet, or can even be a slowdown. Now, because there are so many elements there, chances are, it's just a rule in CAD, when I add these details to my bowl plus handle, possibly following commands might be slowed down a little bit. So I will not cut this out yet. However, when I go to my block element here, this is possibly now the next element I can add, because we have to work on the lip. So I make a copy, and then I move this one out. There it is. And I can join those together. There we are. Very good. We have two very sharp edges here. Let's clean this up. There we are. Pretty good. So now we are ready to actually do our sweep. Let's go back to here. And again, the way how the sweep works is we will select the profile we would like to sweep, and then we select the edges. And you see, that's how easy this works. So I will have to select all these edges. When you do this, be careful that you really select all elements, and like here, you don't overlook tiny gaps. And we are there. Sweep. Very good. Nice. Good. So we take a look at everything here. This looks pretty good. And here, this will look okay. And when we go to here, yeah, there is obviously a cavity. That's normal. That's to be expected. When we take a look at the side here, we notice, oh, this surface is a little bit not lined up, kind of like with this surface. So can we repair this? Yeah, actually super easy. And we do the following technique. We can select one face here and then simply extend this up. I just use a millimeter, not more. Then I still have this object. I simply can use my trim object and clean the top area up. There. Now this is perfectly flush. So I just overbuild it and cleaned it up. I can select this and just be careful how much actually we bring this in. There we are. Okay. Let's hide actually this for the moment. I think this is kind of like also the max we have. Very good. Then we can do a look around. Does everything work well? This is all inside. So I'm looking for here if I see actually the edge of the sweep object to stick through. There is maybe a tiny one. We'll see how this will work out. We still want to clean up the bottom area. No? You see there's still a little bit of an issue. So also here, let's just extend it by 1 millimeter. Now when we turn our trim object on, we have to extend this by 2 millimeters. And you see, this one extends by 1 millimeter, because that's how much we grew it. Then we select our trim object, and this time we will select intersect. And there you see we have the piece we wanted, and the piece here that's left. One moment. Let's verify what we have. Very good. I do not know where this element came from. Very good. I might have made a mistake there. So let's extend this and go by 2 millimeters. So it's just a tick bigger. Very good. There. Okay. There you can see now how this also from the side is perfectly cut off. So this can go. And then these two can join. Yeah, this looks actually nice and clean. You also see here one face. The modeling kernel cleans everything up quite well. And now the big question, can we round this? 1 millimeter. Because we have a 1 millimeter for the rounding, the thickness here is 2 millimeters. 1 plus 1 is 2, which means this actually is half an arc. Sorry, half a circle. So we have a perfect rounded element there. And via the trim or this trim object, we made sure that all the faces here are really nicely parallel to the original face of the handle. So this is a beautiful result. Now we can actually go ahead, go to the pattern folder, select our strainer, then go into the pattern folder, select only the correct folders containing all these geometry elements, subtract, also here, keep originals, done. Let's hide this. There we are. Really good. And might be too difficult to select the correct piece. Actually, I just made a mistake when I said this is too difficult, because I just realized I can select from here my target object. Here is my ring. Join, keep the original. Very good. Now you see now it takes a moment to add the ring there to it. And you might then ask yourself, oh, where's the other element? It is actually there. This is the part with the ring added at the bottom, and this one we can remove. Very good. So there it is. That's how you model this strainer with all these details in the center for the opening. How to build this handle that is nicely tapered and has well-rounded edges, and then how can we add this beautiful symmetrical and even thickened lip that goes around the object edge, including the angled handle, with also having like an even material thickness, and then just a perfect filleted edge resulting into half of a circle.